Hey guys, welcome back to the Behind the Plate podcast with partnership with 1IQ Sports Talk. I'm your host, Will. This is my co-host, DJ.
Hey.
How's it going?
I'm great, man. I mean, I'm great personally. The Blue Jays, not so great.
I don't know, man. I'm fired up after today's one. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, just 8 games under 500. That's fine.
I was sat at work and I was like, what a fucking win.
Yeah. No, it was actually a fucking really good win, everything considered.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Mariners were like the Blue Jays. They just couldn't cash in runs when they had the chance.
It was refreshing to see.
Yeah, every inning the bases were loaded.
God, yeah, like the 8th and the 10th inning, bases were loaded. I was like, whatever, it's done. And they couldn't do it. I was like, oh my God, is this what it's like to play the Blue Jays?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I don't know. I'm happy with it, but it's like bittersweet right now. It's so weird.
Yeah, it's like one of those, I hope it doesn't turn into hot momentum because this team isn't built for the playoffs. I hope it's like a once a week type of thing where they're just going to have a really good game against someone else really good and then go back to losing more games so we can get Ethan Holiday in about a year.
Yeah, we're like one of those teams that is like bad, but like also really good when they want to be. So they can beat anyone, I believe.
So it's been a hot minute since we were last here. It's been about I'd say a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So quite a bit of stuff has happened. So we're going to go over a whole bunch of it today. So sit back, relax, get some popcorn. This probably is going to be a long one. Maybe start doing some other shit while you play this in the background. Topic number one I want to get onto right away is something that I've had my eye on for a while since the Boston series in Fenway. And that's George Springer's new stance. His hands are lower, and he is looking like 2017 George Springer when he knew what pitch was coming. So, I mean, it's pretty awesome to see. I think he had hit more home runs in it was like a week than he had all season and like doubled his RBI total. It was awesome to see, and he's kept it going. He's playing great defense, and it's just fun to see.
George Springer again. That's just it. He was like worse than Leave Anything Good, but like he actually looks like George Springer again. I don't know what the hell they did, but when not only power, he could just hit. You know, he's not like spamming the power swing button on MLB swinging out of the zone. He has a good approach, you know, and he's fired up. And I feel like when George Springer is fired up, it helps the team. When he hit that home run today, side of the game, he was fucking
that was
cooking.
Yeah. I mean, it was such a flip of a switch. Like, it wasn't like he, had like a 1-for-3 game and then like a 2-for-4 game. It was like all of a sudden he was just great. Like, he went from barely being able to do anything to moving his hands down into this series in Fenway 2 weeks ago. And he's like, it was literally an instant switch of, oh, by the way, I'm just great again. So good luck.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was weird. But I also remember last season, he went through a horrible slump. And then after the slump, he was like really good for like a month. So I'm not like too sold that it'll like carry on. I really hope it is. It's really fucking fun to watch, especially because Vladdy decided to turn into God himself at the same time. And when they're both on, it gives us something to watch, even if we're losing and giving up 10 runs per game.
Yeah.
Same time.
I basically look at lineups now, and I'm just like, if Vladdy isn't in there, I'm probably not gonna be as enticed to watch it. Like, I'll probably watch it, but I'll be like, oh, there's no point. Like that Yankees game where the offense was comatose. I was like, there's really no point in watching this because Vladdy's the only one who does something.
Yeah.
But yeah, Vladdy's got his MVP return basically. He's been, I think he's been like the hottest player besides like Aaron's Judge. Like he's just been insane since he got
Yeah.
this haircut. Until that goon Garrett Cole with his Kermit the Frog voice and his like crybaby face whenever Rafael Devers takes him deep every week, hit him in the hands, and now Vladdy doesn't have any power because he's probably got a broken finger in there, and yet he's still hitting 400. So suck on that, Garrett.
Yeah. You can definitely tell like he's injured. And I'm like contemplating. We're gonna talk about the All-Star game soon, so I'll mention it then. But like he's like letting go of the bat 3 times in Seattle, like that's concerning, to say the least.
Yeah, it wasn't great to see, just because like you can tell when he's injured because no player's just throwing a bat. That genuinely tells me that like these, I think it was these two fingers, probably aren't really doing much on the bat. They're probably just placed there, not gripping it.
Resting, yeah, resting.
Um, but I mean, he does in about a week. He gets a week off, besides like a couple innings in an All-Star game. So I hope that works out. He's got a day off again tomorrow. I wouldn't be shocked if they sit him a day in this stretch in San Francisco and Arizona coming up, just to kind of give him that time. But yeah, I mean, there's
Yeah.
Um, so before we move on to like other stuff and like the new look offense and everything, I want to cover one thing that I came across today, and it was
Oh,
a couple people pointing out that Springer and Vladdy tend to go over to Matt Hague after an at bat or after like they hit a home run or get out. They tend to go over to him and talk to him over guys like Guillermo or Don Mattingly, and they do that more than basically every other hitter but Spencer Horwitz and like Schneider, the Buffalo boys.
yeah.
So the new working theory is that these guys kind of told Don Mattingly to basically fly off a fucking cliff, and they went to Matt Hague to fix them, and Hague's done something, whether it's moving the hands or whatever. Because even Vladdy's bat, before it'd like come and it would like kind of flatten. Now it's like angled when it comes down.
Yeah.
The new thing is like maybe they're working with Matt Hague behind the scenes because we've seen Bo publicly working out with Don Mattingly and it's not working. And we've seen Vladdy and Springer basically avoid Don Mattingly and now they're MVP levels again. So is it, if these guys are going to Matt Hague and it's working,
Right.
there's no way Don Mattingly's the offensive coordinator next year.
No. No, a lot's got to change. But like, yeah, it doesn't take a smart person to realize that changes have been made to the people that you could tell are doing good on the team.
Yeah.
Like Bo hasn't really switched anything since he like since the start of the season. Even when he came off the IL or whatever after he came back from the injury, just looks the same to me. Doesn't he seems frustrated? I don't know.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like he wants to play. But Vladdy and George, they'll always give you their best effort. So they're probably trying to fix whatever the fuck was going on because it probably pissed them off.
Yeah. And
If that's the case,
if it was Matt Hague, then I don't know why the hell Guillermo and Don are still here. Like if the front office knows, like, hey, Don Mattingly is helping Bo Bichette and he's hitting 229, and Matt Hague and is working with Springer and Vladdy, and in the last month they're hitting like Ted Williams and Barry Bonds combined. Something tells you one guy's got it figured out and the other guy doesn't. Another guy I've noticed has slowly kind of got it going was Kirk a bit. He's turned it on a little bit over the last 3 or 4 games. I wonder if he looked at Vladdy and Springer and maybe went over to Matt Hague a little bit more. But Spencer Horwitz is a product of Matt Hague from AAA and like AA, like all that, like growing through the minors. And he's the second best hitter on the team. Same with Leo Jimenez, who also was a product of Matt Hague from last year, if you take that into consideration.
Yeah, no, Spencer Horwitz has been really, really impressive. And do not. I'm not going to jinx it and knock on wood. Just based off his like the way he approaches at bats, his IQ, and the way he swings the bat. It's like he's a really, really good baseball player, and he's going to be for a very long time. But he's impressed me so much, taking walks off some of the best pitchers in the game in like high leverage spots. There's been a few times where I'm like, yeah, this guy's good. Even when he's not hitting, he's getting on base. And it's good to see one of our prospects not get suspended. So, nice.
Yeah, I mean, Horwitz is basically everything we thought Biggio was going to be, and he's
Right.
still better than those expectations.
Yeah.
Like, I think
Yeah.
the game that really sold it for me that, like, okay, Horwitz is here and he's here to stay was that game against the Astros on Wednesday, I think it was. It was Framber Valdez was starting, and
Yeah.
he went 2 for 3 off of him, and that's lefty on lefty matchups. And those are kind of like the big ones. Like, oh, we don't want to do that. Like, they purposely took Biggio out of those scenarios and other lefties out of those scenarios.
Right.
And he went in there and just said, "You're not doing that to me," and raked against him. So that was fun to see.
Yeah, it's good that we can put him in situations and he's just rolling with it. I haven't seen him where he's like, he looks bad. Even when he gets out, he never has really a bad at bat. So that's very good for confidence. And the team will, give you more playing time. You show them that, hey, I'm competent with the bat. Even
Hmm.
if your average or whatever is not even that good, like the way he's just going about everything is just the right way, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to throw out a fun fact here.
Mm,
Bo Bichette on the season has 4 home runs.
right.
Spencer Horwitz has 3.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Enough said. I mean,
Enough said.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, I mean, I don't know if I feel like we've kind of really touched on the new look offense. It's basically just Vladdy and Springer and Horwitz. I don't know if there's anyone else we want to cover about it. Trying to think. Leo
I mean,
Jimenez has looked good, but it's been 2 games, 3 games, so I'm
yeah.
not really too. I want to give him a little bit before I be like, oh, this guy's amazing. But the early results have looked good so far.
Yeah. It's the same thing with Kirk. Like you said, he's starting to look like he's competent again and able to hit the ball. He played really good at Seattle, like to the point where they walked him in
Hmm.
the extra innings today, and Varsho came up clutch. So thank God for that. I thought we were losing that game
Oh,
100%.
so did I.
Varsho's been really bad with the bat, but just the best defensive player in the league. So kind of very like I
Kevin
don't know.
Pillar-esque, like 2015 Kevin
Yeah,
Pillar, where he really couldn't
right,
hit a lick, but you knew he was going to save you the game if it was in the field.
right. He played outstanding defense this series. Sorry, I was struggling there to the point where I don't even think it's close. Like he is definitely the best defense player in the league.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, it's not even close, in my
Uh,
opinion.
oh, he has to be the gold glove winner for left field.
I can't believe he didn't get it last season. At least
Yeah.
one.
It's popularity contest. Kevin Pillar should have won it in 2015 when Kiermaier won it.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I hope that that little like bloop single kind of, you know, they say bloop to a blast, bloop in a blast. Hopefully it gets
yeah,
Varsho going. Like, there's his bloop, so maybe you'll have a blast next game or something. I don't know.
hmm
I know that's not like what the saying means, but
right.
like I'm hoping that it kind of gets him going because usually those
Right.
squibblers that break you out of the slump are the ones that get you really going. So
I mean, yeah, no, he has such a high ceiling because his defense is so platinum already.
yeah,
Like, and he's so smart. Like, as when he's on the base path, we score, or like he'll make a smart play. He knows how to run the bases.
he did have
He's
a
got
couple
the pop.
blunders the past week.
Right,
He got picked off and thrown out at first, but like,
right. It happens. We're in
yeah,
the MLB, so I mean, I don't know. I really like watching him play. It's just frustrating because it's all or nothing with him sometimes.
Yeah, I think finding more consistency with his bat, like if he hit 230 across a full
Right.
season, that's absolutely fine. I don't think there's any reason to say, or like to think what I'm about to say is crazy, but like I genuinely do believe his ceiling's like a 5 WAR player. Like his
Yeah.
defense alone, like you know how like Matt Chapman's like a 5 WAR player because of his defense. He's
Yeah.
very
Same
much
thing.
like a Matt Chapman in the outfield, just a little more power and a little less contact.
I agree. And he's still so young, right? So he's
Yeah,
got so much time to improve still. Maybe he switches batting coaches or whatever the
I
fuck they're
hope so.
doing. Yeah.
I'd
I don't
like
know.
to
Yeah,
know.
it's
I'd like a Blue Jay reporter. I know they won't, but I'd like them
yeah.
to talk to like Vladdy and Springer and ask them, did they start going to Matt Haig a little bit more over some other people? Because if that's true and it isn't just a theory and it's like actual facts, then the rest of that roster better be going over to Matt Haig pretty soon. I don't want to see anyone talking to Guillermo or Donnie.
Yeah, like you said, I doubt that'll happen just because like it could stir some feathers in the organization, but like maybe that's what we need. Um, but
Whatever
we're not
happened
playing,
to pissing people off? The 2015 Blue Jays were the group that just pissed everyone off.
right?
Bring it back. Let's have some fun.
Might
Um,
as well.
yeah, I guess we should probably talk about our number 2 prospect in the organization that isn't playing baseball right now, and that's Aurelvis Martinez. Thanks to him getting suspended, um, he
Close Blue
played.
Jay of the week.
He played. Yeah, that was my Blue Jay of the week. Turns out he couldn't even be boner of the week because he's got bad nuts. Um, but basically, he gets called up, gets his first big league hit, and then immediately tests positive. Um, but I've learned it's actually a good thing he was up in the big leagues when he tested because his suspension ends about halfway through September,
Right.
which means he'd have about 2 weeks to play for the Jays left in the season. Whereas if he was in AAA, his season would have been over, and that suspension would have carried into the 2025 season. So
Holy, I did not know that.
good timing on Orelvis Martinez getting suspended. Bad on you for getting suspended. But W excuse because to say you have bad nuts is like the best way to put
Yeah.
it. Like
Oh yeah.
no one's
Yeah.
gonna question you and be like, "Oh man, this dude admitted to having bum nards."
Yeah. Yeah. I know. You're putting yourself through the ringer there. I don't know. It's tough to hear, but it's like it also makes you question like is the testing like good in the minors? Because like that took
I
1 day.
I assume they don't test as much in the minors, but like
Right.
um, Noelvi Marte with the Reds got suspended when he was in AAA. But I think it's like probably like test like 6 months in, like around halfway point, and then probably at the end of the year. So would be my
Yeah.
guess. I assume it's not as because all that testing money debt probably just goes to the MLB, and they're like, oh shit, AAA guys, twice a year.
Yeah. And when you get called up, it's probably run of the course that they get tested as soon as you're up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So that makes sense.
what do you want to go to next? We have 3 more Vladdy things that we can talk about. I mean,
We can
one
talk about
Vladdy can just
Vladdy
kind
in
of go into
general.
the All-Star break, or
Okay.
there's Bichette trade stuff, and then the IKF injury.
Let's just talk about Vladdy in general. And
Okay.
we can just put it all in one.
So one thing that happened, I guess, in between podcasts is Vladdy has a new stance on the Yankees, which is the biggest bullshit I've ever seen in my life. So 2 years
Yeah.
ago, some kid at Jays Fest goes, "Hey, what's one team you'd never want to play for, or you'd never sign with?" He's like, "Oh, the Yankees. Fuck the Yankees." And then some Boston reporter goes, "Hey, if you got traded to the Yankees, would you play there?" And what is he going to say? No? Like, you're going to say
Yeah.
yes because you got traded. They'd be like, God, help them win. And now Yankee fans are like, oh, the turns have
He's
tabled.
the
He wants
Yeah.
to be a Yankee. No. He said, gun to my head, you make me go there, I'll play there for my 2 years and dip. He didn't say, yeah, I'm willing to sign a deal with the Yankees. I would love to go there during free agency. He was like, yeah, I guess if you shipped me out there and I had no choice or say in the matter, I'd play for the Yankees and try and win a championship because I'm an athlete who wants to win.
I mean, yeah, who else would say anything different? I mean, people overlook the fact that well, he said numerous times and recently in an interview that I want to be a Blue Jay my whole career. Like,
Yeah,
well, I mean, just fucking,
dude. He,
but he's still batting 300, still gives you 50 runs batted in with nobody else helping. You know, I don't know what else they need.
yeah, he basically got down on both his knees the other day and begged to be a Blue Jay the rest of his life.
But,
Like that is genuinely, obviously metaphorically, but that is basically what he just did. He was like,
right.
please extend me. I don't want to play anywhere else. I only want to play here for the rest of my career. This is where I want to retire. Make me a Blue Jay for the rest of my life. Make me a Blue Jay until I can't breathe. And when you have a homegrown talent like Vladdy, who could just say, fuck you, I'm going to go to the Dodgers or the Yankees who could pay me $400 million. When he goes, I want to
Yeah.
be a Blue Jay, I want to be here the rest of my career. How do you not just go up to him the next day and be like, here's $300 million to be a Blue Jay the rest of your life?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you got to do it.
No,
And the fact that he went, money isn't an obstacle, which to an extent it is. Okay. It is
right,
not
right.
like it is an obstacle. If the Jays went up and said, here's $100 million for 12 years, he would say no.
Yeah,
But like,
anyone in
there's
history.
definitely a window for him where he's like, this is the lowest I would go, and this is the high. Like, like if he's looking, my
He's
guess
taking
is
a
he's
pay cut.
probably looking at one of two marks, either a 30 million annual salary or a $300 million total contract. Would be
Mhm.
my guess. But I assume he would be willing to move from either or for an extra length.
Right. Or like miss out on a few million in the
Yeah.
long term to go somewhere else. And I
So
agree.
I came up with two extensions that I think are genuinely realistic for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. that we could see as potential numbers being set out. If the $300 million mark is extremely important to Vladdy, and he wants to be in there so he can be in there with the names of like Bryce Harper, Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis, Francisco Lindor, then I put 12 years at 25 a year, which is exactly 300 on the dot. And it goes up to 12 years, 28 a year, which is 336, I believe, in total. And I think
Right.
either of those work for Vladdy. And I think the total term probably means more to him than like the yearly salary.
Right. And it's still enough to like, you know, he's a
Yeah.
superstar. He deserves it.
And if you say you sign him to that 12-year extension right now, you can put player and club options near the end. But if you go through all 12 years, that'll take him until he's 37.
Right.
And
His
which
whole
is
career.
basically the career. Maybe he'll do a couple more years in like 1 year deals.
Right.
But like that's what I found as like a very satisfying and mutually beneficial deal for both sides.
Me too. I think you're not far off at all. He's just he's gonna be consistent. He's just generational. He was built up here. He wants to stay here.
Yeah.
He's proven that he is the guy. There was questions before, like I even remember last season,
Well,
when
last
they're
year we
like,
were talking about extending Bo over Vladdy at this
yeah, is
point.
there who's our guy, Bo or Vladdy? And it's like I think it's clear to see we can't let them both go. We just can't. I mean, and like Bo is halfway up the door already. Like they must be taking a long time to make the contract exactly right. There's no other excuse.
I think the thing with Vladdy, so we saw um, the Padres extended Tatis after 60 games or so, like
Yeah,
or after the 2020 season, which I guess was ended up being like 160 games in total for him, maybe 180 games.
right.
Um, and they extended him, and he immediately got hurt, didn't play, then got suspended, and then got hurt, and then came back and was in right field. And I think that kind of scared the Jays off. Then you saw the Rays. I mean, fuck the Rays, but like you saw that thing, that whole mess turn out with Wander Franco. Now, obviously, that's a once in a lifetime generational fuck up there
Yeah.
that like isn't
Right.
going to be like every other superstar. Um, but then you see the Red Sox, and they waited with Rafi Devers because Vladdy and Raphael very much have had a very equal trajectory
Identical.
where it was
Yeah.
like the first couple of years they were there, but they weren't great. They figured their
Right.
league out in the third year, were MVP candidates in their third and fourth year. The league started to figure them out. They struggled in their fifth year, and then their quote unquote sixth year, which is their fifth year of their contract because of service time manipulation, they brought it back.
Right.
And right, this is when the Red Sox signed Devers. At the end of this season would have been the equivalent to when the Red Sox signed Devers a couple of years ago.
Right.
And that one has proven worked out the best compared. Well, I mean, Tatis has worked
So
out
far.
fantastically.
Yeah.
But I think that was more of their thing of like, hey, we'll probably follow what the Red Sox did with Rafi. You know, they've definitely talked different extension numbers, but I
Yeah.
assume they wanted to wait a little bit to get a full understanding of what Vladdy was going to be. Because if they extended him after his MVP season and say he got $400 million, we'd be pissed
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think they waited, but I think it's getting to the point where it's like, okay, I think we have a good understanding of what he's going to do when he's healthy, right? You kind of have an understanding of like, okay, he's not always going to be your MVP, but he's always going to produce at a level like you could pay him $25 million and sleep at night easily, knowing that you need a pillar. And if they get rid of Vladdy or let him walk, like there's going to be the whole family base is going to be upset. Vladdy's going to be upset, and we've lost someone that could probably do way better somewhere else, in my opinion.
I also look at it as Vladdy's harder to replace right now in this system through prospects and through current MLB players than Bo Bichette is.
Right.
Not often do you see a generational talent in a sense of Vladdy come up who plays good defense. You know, he's
Right.
maybe not every year Gold Glove, but he gives you serviceable defense at first base, can hit for power and hit for average.
Right.
Like this isn't a guy who's 210 average, but 35 home runs. This isn't a guy who's 400 average, but 3 home runs. He's very much found a happy medium where he's going to hit 290 and maybe put up 30 home runs a season to 40 home
Right.
runs a season. And that's way harder to replace than a shortstop who's going to hit 310 but 15 home runs.
I agree. He's always going to produce, even if he's struggling. He put up 90 RBIs last year
Yeah.
in a bad campaign.
Look at his worst season post COVID when he figured it out and when like he became the Vladdy we know is still a better season than 95% of the league.
Right.
Well, maybe 80% of the league. Like it's his average to like bad season is what like a Isaiah kind of Falefa, no shot at IKF here, would consider a career year.
It's not even close. It would be like an all-star caliber year. That would
Yeah.
be a once in a lifetime like year for him. Everyone was like, "Oh, he's down. He's not the same."
Yeah.
There's high expectations, but like 25 million for a person, like for a guy that could be an MVP and
Mm-hmm.
has a ceiling. And as far as we know, obviously injuries do matter and could happen, but so far we've seen his like bottom is still like 280 to 290 with 90 driven in and like 26 home runs or 30 home runs, right? Like that's still very serviceable at
Yeah.
25 million.
Well, I mean, like what his worst season was last year, and it was like, I guess his worst seasons were like 2019, 2020, but I don't really
Before,
count
like
those.
mature. Yeah,
But
mature.
like mature Vladdy, weight loss Vladdy, like the guy who takes it seriously and realizes he has to work in the big leagues Vladdy,
Yeah,
His worst season was like a 260 average with 20 to 23 or 25 home runs, like,
yeah,
and 90 RBIs. It's hard to complain about that,
yeah. I know.
even though we did.
Yeah, I know. We're complaining, but now we're begging to
Yeah,
have this guy back because, like, if you're going to rebuild a team that struggled to rebuild and promised high hopes for the last how many seasons since like Bo and Vladdy matured, you need to keep a pillar, and he's the perfect player to keep. You know, if you think of the Blue Jays, you think of Vladdy,
yeah.
right? If we got money to pay him,
Well,
just
they've
do it.
proven it. They gave
Yeah,
700 million to Shohei Ohtani in an offer.
exactly.
They had the
Exactly.
identical offer the Dodgers had, so we know they have money to throw around. And I do genuinely believe this is the offseason it gets done. I'd be very, very shocked if it didn't happen. And if it
Right.
didn't happen, he's gone.
Yeah. And that's sad. So I don't think it'll happen. I texted you the other day. I'm like, I'm fully sold that he's coming back. It's just when and how
I
much.
I
Um,
think the second the season ends, I think Vladdy goes in because I think there'll be a new GM by the time the season ends. I
yeah,
think he goes in, whether it's to Shapiro or it's to say it's James Click as the interim GM or permanent GM. I think he just
yeah,
goes in and goes, listen here, I'm not leaving this room until we sign an extension because I don't want to go anywhere else. Like, I genuinely could see him doing that. Like, here's what I think I'm worth. You tell me what you think I'm worth, and let's figure this out.
yeah. No, I agree. I hope they don't spit in his face and take advantage of that. But I think Vlad is the type of player, like we said, to take a pay cut if you promise him, like, okay, in the next 3 years, we get better with the money that I'm,
Hmm.
cutting down so we can get more in the future. I don't see Vladdy walking, and if they do, like it's one of the biggest mistakes in franchise history. If you will,
Agreed. Um, I also think a lot of what his next extension is, money wise, depends on if Bo Bichette is willing to sign an extension in Toronto. Because if let's say Bo goes up to Vladdy and says, "Yeah, man, like I'm looking for an extension here too." Vladdy might go, "Okay, well, I'll take a little bit more of a cut, so then they don't feel as restricted paying him as well, so that they can keep the both of us for the rest of our careers or whatever, and build around."
right,
But
right.
if Bo is
I
very
think,
much on that train of like, dude, I really just want the fuck out, Vladdy might be like, okay, well, I'm signing my extension worth this.
yeah, and I'm getting max. It'll be a lot easier. Bo's gone. Well, no, when Bo's gone. If Bo leaves, which honestly, like, I don't see him wearing a Blue Jays jersey for very long, and like that makes it way easier to get Vladdy. Obviously, it sucks because like they're probably really close still. Um, but you know, you need to get value with a player that I mean, you've mentioned this before. He's fucking phenomenal. We know what his ceiling is, but at the same time, he's like one of those type of hitters that like could easily hang off of a cliff. And like Baez,
Did you see the Baez comparison the other day?
now what is it?
Dude, I saw someone on Blue Jays Twitter. Now, if this is just someone probably so frustrated, but they compared Bichette to Baez as both free swinging young shortstops that were mashing it up until the league figured them out, and then they fell off a cliff. And now they're saying that. Now, obviously, that's not going to be Bo. I wouldn't think. I think Bo's too talented to fall off the
Not
face of the earth
not
like Baez
yeah,
did.
exactly. Not as
But
bad, yeah.
it is worth of noting that you know the last free swinging shortstop like Bichette was Baez, and Baez is
Right.
very much not good. But I also think Bo's smart enough and talented enough to learn a bit more or a bit better pitch recognition and discipline at the plate. And if he does that, he'll
Right.
go back to hitting 280, 290. It's just a matter of
Right.
it's a matter of when, not if, in my opinion.
Right. Me too.
Um,
Said that at the start. I've never looked at the stats, um, but there's a lot of stats in baseball that like sometimes you just get unlucky, and sometimes you get super lucky. I think Bo, when he was tearing up the league, lucky a lot. He put the bat on the ball and put it in play, and sometimes, it would bloop get down, just stay fair, and sometimes you're just not lucky. And this season, not blaming it, not saying he's like only having a bad season because he's not getting lucky. He's just hitting the ball to the wrong spots. And yeah, I don't know, he looks different.
And when you think of like what Bo Bichette is like, I always see the hits that like land like just fair along the first base and third base side
Right.
down the line. And right now he's not getting those. It's literally just a game of inches and he's on the wrong side of the line. Whereas if he tightens it up a little bit, he's just going to go right back to what he was. He's just got to stop chasing at the sliders away. Like
Yeah.
I've seen him swing at probably 100 of those, and some of them are pretty egregious. Like they're behind the other batter's box.
Right. He's always been able to not only make contact, but make hard contact. Right now, it's soft contact.
Hmm.
And so it's easy to stop. If he starts, hitting for power again and starts hitting the ball the opposite way hard and not just Kirk ground balls, then it'll get better. He's just got to make some sort of adjustment and realize, like, hey, I don't care how good you were 3 years, 4 years running, you got to make adjustments just like pitchers do. Everyone's so good now.
Hmm. I'll pose the question to you: does Bo Bichette get traded at this deadline? Because I'm pretty confirmed on my answer.
I mean, I messaged you the other day and I said that I'm sold on Bo leaving. I think he already feels like he's frustrated. I don't know, something about him feels different. Obviously, he's struggling, but something when you see him in interviews and like just after the game, during the game, like, I don't know. It just feels like he's halfway out the door. I might be wrong. Who knows? Maybe there's something going on, but I think he's out the door. I'm pretty certain, like 80%, especially like having such a bad season. Um, if you want to build and build relatively fast, you have to give something up. And he is something that would give us a lot in return for his name. And he's having a bad year. So it's like, I think if you're going to trade Bo Bichette, it's now.
Yeah. I agree with you on the. He looks like it looks different this year. He does look
Right.
uninterested. Um, he looks like he doesn't really want to be there, and we kind of saw that a bit at the end of last year as well. At least I noticed it a little bit, where he wasn't the same like happy-go-lucky guy he was in 21 and 22. Um, so I don't know if maybe he tried to do an extension in the off season at some point, and they spit in his face. But I
Mm.
feel like we would have heard about that. So I don't know if there's something else that's maybe pissing him off or something. Maybe it's just his play. Um, but I don't think he gets traded at the deadline for the reasons that you stated. Just with his value probably has never been lower than what it is now. And if you trade Bo Bichette, you don't want to get less than what he's worth at his peak. And so for
Right.
that, I don't think they trade him. Unless he requests a trade. If he requests to be traded, then yes, 100% he's gone at the deadline. But I
Right.
don't think he's gone now. I think the discussions heat up in the off season, if anything.
Right. I don't see him staying in general. Like I'm pretty set on that. He could stick around and like, um play the rest of the season and see what comes of it because he could be like that in 2 weeks, just like Vladdy just did 400, 4 home runs, all that stuff because we've seen it with Springer, you know. But I think one of the biggest things with him, and I think it was clear at the start of the season when we were like happy that he was like, oh, we got to prove everyone wrong. He wants to win, and I don't think think this is a winning team at all. And I think that has something to do with how he's playing because I think the team is playing bad and the morale's lower than it's been in years. And I think it's affecting him. I might be wrong,
See, but
but I
like,
mean,
I get they're different teams, but 2019 Blue Jays were very much not a competitive team, and Bo Bichette was arguably playing some of his best baseball that he's played in his career
right.
so far. So I don't know if that's it. Maybe it's like a mixture of like,
I'm
holy shit, we gotta like actually compete, and we can't. We're not proving people wrong after I said we'd prove people wrong, and now I'm struggling. Maybe he's just like, I think it's like more of like a tidal wave. It's just taken over and like swallowed him. And I
right.
think he's a guy that's really going to benefit from a week off during the All Star break.
Do you think the expectations were high in 2019 comparatively?
Like for the team?
Yeah.
No, God, no.
Okay, so I think the expectations of this team compared to the 2019
Do you
team
mean like,
is like,
oh, yeah, like comparison, like
yeah,
this year's expectation? I thought you meant are the 2019 team's expectations high? And I was like, oh, God, no.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think he gave a fuck about the team being bad in 2019 because no one thought they were good
Hmm.
or going to be good. I think, like us all, we expected a lot in the playoffs, like, making deep runs, having great teams. I think it's starting to. I could be speaking out of my ass and I could be completely wrong, but this team had expectations last season and this season. He might be getting pissed off, like, okay, we were supposed to go somewhere. They won't extend me. We're not playing good. Our hitting coaches suck. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't know. That's just what I'm thinking.
How much do you think Bichette asks for an extension? Because I have my
Um,
limit on where I'd pay him right now. Not based off of what he's doing this year, based off his career.
it's hard because of this season. It's like a trade right now. He's like at the lowest he's ever been. So it's a risk. The Blue Jays are scared to take a risk on Vladdy. They're gonna be scared to make a big commitment with Bo. It's like how long do you
And
sign
this
him
isn't the
for?
first time we've seen him play like this in
Right,
a short stretch. Like he did this in 2022. That's just 2 seasons ago, where he was
right.
exactly like this once before. So
It's hard to say. Like I definitely don't think he gets like more than 5 years because he's that type of player that could go like this. And he might want a long extension, but I don't know. It's hard for me. I can see like 3 years. I don't know. It's
no, but what do you think
18 million.
Bichette asks for in the extension,
Oh, oh my God.
like money
Way more.
wise? Because I'm
Way more
assuming,
than
like
they're
I'm
willing.
saying this is like this is his lockdown contract to be a Blue Jay for life
Somewhere around 20 million.
in total
Around
or
there.
a season.
No, a season.
Oh, okay, I was like, what?
Yeah. No, 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 no.
I
No.
I think he tries to
20,
see if he
20,
can crack
22.
300 because he's going to look at other young shortstops that got
Mhm.
300. Like Trey Turner is an amazing comparable for him on career numbers and play
Right.
style, and Turner got 300 mil. Um, and then I think he probably looks at Tatis as like, hey, this guy was a shortstop. Obviously, I'm not going to get that much money, but like, I had pretty equivalent numbers at some points during my career that he did. I do think he looks at Lindor as well as like, hey, I may not have his defense, but I have his offense.
Right.
Um, I think he tries to see if he can sneak 300. I don't think he gets 300.
Yeah.
I think my max that I would pay him would be 225 over
Yeah.
10 years. But
That's what
with
I was
like,
thinking.
I'd put it with fucking reward bonuses, like for
Mhm.
MVP finishes and
Okay.
all that stuff. Yeah,
Right.
incentives.
Right.
Uh, but
Yeah.
I think if you go no incentives and it's just base contract, I think the max I would probably stop is 250.
Right. Yeah. No, I I don't think he's ever. He might be thinking he's worth that much, but the Blue Jays will never pull the trigger on anything over 25 a year.
Agreed.
You just can't. I'm like in the ballpark of 20 to 23, 20. Yeah, probably 23 is max.
Yeah.
Max.
I just say he probably looks for more money because of the position he also plays too. Like
Yeah.
shortstop's the most important position on the infield. And they always get paid a lot more than other positions. So I think that would probably also go into the fact of like, hey guys, like I'm playing shortstop every day. Not well, but he's playing it.
Yeah, he's playing it, and he has the argument to say like, "Hey, I led the league in hits 3 years. Was it 3 or 2 years? I think it was
3
3 years
years.
now.
It was
Yeah,
21, 22, and 23. He still led the league in 22 after having a really
I know.
terrible year, which is
I know.
insane. Um,
We need him to do what he did at the last 2 months of that year.
yeah,
Just like tear the cover. It's hard because he's next to Vladdy, so that's hard for me to compare the two because they're totally different. Bo sucks at defense. I'm not even. I thought he would get better at this point. He hasn't,
no.
like at all. So it's a
Um,
hard one.
his
One of
defense
the
has
hardest.
actually regressed this year compared to last year. I've looked at the numbers. Um,
Yeah.
I don't have them all off by hand, but the one that really stood out to me was this year he has 7 errors, and last year he had 8 in total.
Right.
So at about halfway point in the year, he's basically got the same amount of errors, which tells you that he'll probably have it doubled by the time the season ends if he keeps it up the way he's doing.
Right.
I also think another young shortstop he looks at as like money wise is Bobby Witt.
Oh.
As like, but like, see, but the thing
Yeah.
is, he can argue with Bobby Witt because Bobby Witt didn't like. He's had a good 3 months before he signed his extension. Like he had a good July, August, and September, and then the
Right.
Royals were like, "Well, shit, you're our guy, so we're gonna pay you before you turn into a superstar." And then
Right.
he's just fully taken off, and now that contract's probably going to be a bargain.
I think Bobby Wood is a special case because he was like, you know, the guy coming into the league, whereas Bo wasn't, he
But wasn't
wasn't
even the
clear.
guy for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's where it comes from. Like with the Royals, they were like, okay, we think you're generational superstar. Just prove it to us for a little bit and we'll ink you. He
Yeah,
proved it. They inked him. Perfect. Whereas like Bo, you're showing regression in every aspect of your game. So be willing to look us in the eyes and be reasonable if you want to stay. If
yeah.
you want to go, go. Right.
And I think that's going to be a conversation they're going to have with him, either at this deadline. Again, I don't think they trade him because they do want to compete in 25, but I think this is a conversation that they're going to have with him relatively soon. Of like, hey man, do you actually want to play here, looking past 25, or are you looking at somewhere else? Because if you're looking somewhere else, just tell us so we can trade you.
Right.
Because we've never seen Bo do what Vladdy has done is since 22, which is beg for an extension to stay with the Blue Jays. He's
Yeah.
very much been like, yeah, I'll just do my thing, and if it happens, it
Yeah.
happens. Whereas Vladdy's
Yeah.
very much like, please don't let me go.
Yeah. There's a big difference.
Yeah,
But I don't know. It's going to be weird to look at this team even from a year from now because anything can happen. And there's stuff they need to do that I don't know if they will. So I'm excited, but nervous and optimistic.
yeah, I think it's very much this team is going to look very different this time next year. I did have a topic on the IKF injury, but it's definitely changed because of stuff that's happened. I had, is it a blessing in disguise? Because it was going to give more playing times to guys like Orelvis Martinez, suspended,
I
and Addison Barger, demoted.
love that.
So
Yeah.
now basically what it's doing is giving Spencer Horwich free reign to just run around this team and do what he wants to do right now. which again he's deserved. The one thing I've noticed is they don't really play Ernie anymore. Like, I haven't really
No,
noticed much Ernie at third base as
it's
much.
every third to second day. They'll get
Yeah,
him.
but like he's fallen back to what he was,
Mid.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I do really like the guy. He's a great feel-good story, awesome dude, everything. But he very much was playing way above his weight class at the beginning of the year, and he's fallen back into the guy who was getting released by the A's and the Guardians.
Bruh.
And it's
Yeah.
just like, I like him, but if the Jays do compete next year, Ernie Clement's not starting. He's very
Right.
much like an on the bench. You're our Espinal. Kind of, you
Exactly.
got to find a way to make it work when it works. So I think that'll be interesting to see how he does that.
Yeah, I can see him easily falling off this roster fast. Um, but at the same time, like us being shitty is good for a number of things, including him, because there's going to be spots, it's inevitable that he's given a shot and he hasn't like, you know, he's competent enough to play the game of baseball enough to where like he's going to get a few more opportunities before he's demoted. Like, look at Vogelback, you know,
Yeah.
how much time did we give him
Gave him
when he was
way too
like,
much time. And
yeah,
especially Joey Votto's on his way up now.
that's
Um,
exciting.
yeah, that is. I was kind of hoping Canada Day, but apparently this rolled ankle is a little more serious than we thought. But Votto's going to require a roster spot. Most likely that's just going to be Stuart Baroa going down, would be my guess. Because there's no one left to activate, because Jansen and Turner are both back from having
Who's
kids.
that little guy, man? Like that pitcher, that little out of the bullpen?
Brendan Little? Dude's
Trash,
nuts.
man.
What?
Trash,
You don't like him?
trash.
Dude
No.
saved the game for us today. Are you kidding?
That's whatever. I
Nah,
don't like him.
I like him. I like him more this time around than I did the first time around. I know you're more of
Alright.
a Jose Cuas type of guy who likes to set records and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess the last thing there really is to talk about is All-Stars. Vladdy is an All-Star. He's the All-Star starting first baseman.
Yeah.
For those of you who disagree and think should be Ryan Mountcastle, go to Baseball Reference, look at the numbers, then drink bleach, because you obviously just don't know baseball.
Every aspect of the game, go look.
The
Go look.
only thing Ryan Mountcastle leads Vladdy in offensive stuff is extra base hits, and it's by 3, and he has like 15 less RBIs playing on a more offensive team than the Vladdy is on.
Right. And are you really gonna say he's a better defensive player by
I
a
I
landslide?
wouldn't say by a landslide, but I would say I would probably take Mountcastle defensively at first base over Vladdy.
Obviously. Obviously. But is it like, come on. Mountcastle, Vladdy, are they even in the same conversation?
No,
Shouldn't be.
Mountcastle is arguably. I mean, I don't like him because he owns the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
Arguably, by the end of the year, he's probably the third best first baseman in the division. Because
Yeah.
I say Ben Rice takes him over. I'm
He's fucking
high
good, eh?
on Ben Rice. I'm loving that dude.
He's a good
Also,
player, man.
what a name!
I know.
If they
His
do,
parents were pretty good.
if they do players at like that players weekend with like the nicknames on the jerseys again, his nickname has to be Uncle Ben. Uncle
Oh yeah.
Ben's Rice.
Yeah,
But
for
dude,
sure.
how do you not?
That's fire. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, no, he's fire. He hit 2 home runs yesterday, I think.
Yeah, he's killing it. So arguably Ben Rice might be more highly revered. Is it going to help that he's a Yankee? Absolutely.
Right. Right.
But I don't think Mountcastle, let's be real, the only reason he was still in the league at some point was because he got to play the Blue Jays 19 times in a season. And in those
Yeah.
19 games, he usually hit about 700. So
It doesn't help our case. Sounds like we're
cool
just hating
yourself.
because it's like it sounds like we're hating on him because he owns us, but literally, like, just use your brain.
Yeah. I'm not. Does he deserve to be an All Star this year? Absolutely. To say he should be
Yeah,
the starting first baseman was a stretch. Josh Naylor's better than him, and Josh Naylor wasn't even in the starting conversation.
that's why I was confused. Josh Naylor is better than Mountcastle this season, like, and arguably
Career
close to
wise.
being better than, like,
Oh, I wouldn't say
close
close
to
to being
being
better than
better.
Vladdy. Offensively
Like
right now?
based off stats. Last time I looked, he had like
No,
20
Vladdy's the
something home
top
runs.
offensive first baseman in the American League right now.
What does what doesn't he have 20 plus home runs with like 60 driven in or something?
Don't think so. I think that's you're thinking of Jose Ramirez.
Check that out.
Josh Naylor. He does have. Oh, he has 21 home runs with 65 RBIs, but he's hitting
Yo, select.
243. His
I
OPS
mean,
is 129. Whereas, okay, so
why is he not in the conversation at least? Like, why
he
is
was in the
Mountcastle?
conversation, but Vladdy's hitting 295, 13 home runs, 52 RBIs, so comparable on RBIs. Getting on base way more. He's getting on base 370 compared to the 320 that Naylor had, I believe. And his OPS is 7 points higher, or OPS plus is 7 points higher.
Which is fair. I'm not saying that he could like he should have been the starter. I'm saying I would put him over Mountcastle.
It should have gone Vladdy, Naylor, Mountcastle.
Yeah, yeah,
Also,
that's what I put it at.
Marcus Simeon's an all-star. He's putting
Yeah,
up Bo Bichette numbers. He's hitting 229 right now and with 12 home runs. Like, he is very much the Bo Bichette of the Texas Rangers right now, and he somehow made it in as an all-star.
he tore the cover off the ball to start the season, and I think a lot of people seen that and they're like, "Oh, he's an all-star."
He's not even hitting 100, I think, in like the last month. Like, I remember seeing, was it Saturday Night Baseball a couple weeks ago? Was it Marcus Simeon? It might have been even Sunday Night Baseball. And it was like he was one for his like last 50 or
That's
like
crazy.
five for his last 50. It was like really bad.
He has those spells though. He's that type of player.
Well, he was like that when he
Like,
first started with the Rangers in 22, where
right.
I don't think he had a home run until the end of June.
So what do we have to say about fan voting then?
Honestly, I'm chill with fan voting, honestly. The All Star
Right.
game, yes, it's about the players. It's about the fans. It's an
Right.
event for the fans to enjoy. And the MLB just genuinely does have the best All Star game out of any of the four major sports. It's not even close because it's one of
Right.
those games you can't take off.
Mm.
Like, you still have to put in an effort to be good at it. Like a Garrett Cole, even if he is gonna like not throw as hard, he's probably gonna pump you 85 still, which means you still have to get around on an 85-mile-per-hour fastball, which is something like only 1% of the world can do.
Right.
Like, you still have to be good in the All Star game, so it makes it competitive. But it's about the fans, and the fans want to see who they want to see. So I don't really care. But if we do put so much precipice on fan voting like we do, I think we have to look at the fact that the All Star vote, or like being an All Star, doesn't mean as much career wise. And that you probably
Yeah.
should look more at like all MLB stuff, where it is very much that's the league deciding who it is.
Yes.
Um, so that's just my opinion um, on it. Like, I'd say keep it, but don't look at it like, oh, this guy's a 10-time All Star and this guy's a 6-time All Star, as
Right.
it in like looking at career wise, because it does help you, what your name is and who you play for.
I have the exact same opinion. I think it's like with the MLB, they're doing it right for the fans. They're going to enjoy it. They're going to see who they want to see. That's
Yeah,
it. But like take it with a grain of salt who you see because I don't think necessarily being an all-star is as important as it seems. Especially these days for the fans. They vote to see whoever they want. If you don't like it, then don't like it. And if you think it matters, you know, like I don't know. There's a lot of value to it in the past being an all-star, but like,
Yeah.
when you take the fans over the actual statistics, you might as well just get the league to do it then.
Yeah, exactly. I saw today it was like Will Smith leads all of catchers in F4, and he's not like a starter, like whatever. He wasn't even in
Right.
the conversation for voting. It was two other guys. I don't remember who it was. Um, but it's along the fact of, first of all, who cares? Second of all, he wasn't at the time of voting. And third of all, it's not like he plays for the Cincinnati Reds. He's in a market of Los Angeles, the Dodgers. So if
Yeah,
Dodger fans didn't vote him in, it's probably because he didn't deserve to be an all star at the time of voting. You know, like there's
right,
probably guys who deserved it more. Not saying he doesn't deserve it. He should be an all star. I hope he makes it to the game. But
right.
again, the fans are going to see who they want to see. More fans are going to want to try and watch for, especially in Texas, they're going to want to watch Marcus Simeon, who could put one 800 feet over a guy like Luis Ariz, who's just going to slap a single up the middle.
Yeah. I mean, it comes down to in that situation, Will Smith's a beast. He has to figure some stuff out defensively, and maybe he'll be like a top three catcher easily, like no question for a long time. But like, if the Dodgers are getting votes, who the fuck are the LA fans gonna vote for?
Yeah,
Not Will Smith. It's gonna
apparently
be
not,
Otani. It's gonna be Otani. It's gonna be Betts. It's gonna be Freeman. Like
buddy.
they've got an all-star team.
Yeah, Teoscar's in there
Like
too.
hey, Oscar's a beast.
I think Teo made it. I think All Star rosters got announced. I'm just gonna quickly go take a look.
They did. We should have did a thing on that. We should
We could
that
do a
should have
video
been
on it if you want.
yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, complete rosters.
Maybe we'll
I
do a
think the
video on
biggest
it.
one that I thought was like pretty cool that I liked was that Paul Skeens made it.
Yeah, I
And
see that
after 10
too.
starts, I like that because he's not there
Uh,
because of his name. He's there because he genuinely does deserve it. Um,
yeah,
and he's the first player in MLB history to be in an All Star game the year after he was selected first overall. Um,
that's insane.
so yeah. Also, Luis Rise is in there, so no one takes shots at me for like saying what I said before. I'm just
Right.
making a point of like there might be a guy who deserves to be in there more, but if he's not as an exciting of a player or well known of a player, people aren't going to want to watch that. They want to watch who they know.
It comes
Um,
down to
so
the
yeah,
same thing with a lot of things. It's Josh Naylor. Who the fuck cares about Josh Naylor?
and like if Josh Naylor wasn't playing in Cleveland, like if you put
Yeah.
him in Baltimore and Mountcastle in Cleveland, Mountcastle doesn't even crack the top three. I'm sorry,
Nope.
but
But
Naylor would
Naylor,
be in there for starting conversation. So it does
yes.
matter a lot on who your team is,
Yeah,
which
and
is
your
why I get
market.
why people don't like fan voting. But that's also another reason why you shouldn't put too much care and precipice and matter into who's an all star and who's not, because it is
Right.
at the end of the day a popularity contest.
No, I agree. Um, no, I think that's a great video. We should save that, go over it, give our thoughts, possible snubs, if we were to like, actually take it serious, who the snubs were,
Yeah.
who gets credit for tearing the cover off the ball or pitching really well. Paul Skeens is a
Oh,
fucking beast. He's gonna be
Will Smith
insane.
did make the roster, so these Dodger fans can shut the fuck up and stop crying. God damn it! Sorry you almost
Oh,
didn't
did
get your way for the first time in your life. Fuck
how
me.
many All Stars do they have? Five,
Probably
four?
the whole fucking team. My guess is guessing here. Freddie Freeman. Is
Yeah.
Mookie Betts back from IL? I think he is.
I don't know.
Oh, he might not be, but I think if he is, he's on there. If not, then
And
not him.
obviously.
Otani is definitely in
Yeah.
there. Teoscar's going to be in there. Will Smith's in there. I think Gavin Stone should be in there. He's having a pretty good year.
Yeah.
Who else is on that team? I think that's about it that I would
Um,
put in.
Me too. It's
Let's.
very offense heavy. Who's their
So Will Smith is the catcher, reserved catcher. Mookie Betts did make it. Freddie Freeman made it.
Yeah. Is he a Trey Turner? I know that was a close vote.
Teoscar made it. And then who else?
Let's do this might as well.
Yeah, Tyler Glasnow made it. I completely forgot about him. Gavin Stone didn't make it. Interesting. He's having a really good year. And then National League hitters. I think they just have Ohtani. Yeah, they do. So kind of almost everyone I said.
Yeah. As expected.
Yeah.
They're popular.
But before we say goodbye to the podcast, DJ, we have to give our predictions for the week. We are
yes.
We are going to San Francisco for 3, and then we're going to Arizona for 3 before going into the All-Star breaks. We have 6 games in there. So DJ, I'm gonna let you do the honors while I type this up. What is your record prediction for the week?
3-3. I think we take 2 before the All-Star break in the seconds. And we win 1. Are you there? You cut out a little bit.
No, I'm here.
Okay.
I was just trying to go to the Jays thing because I want to see if they have pitching matchups because that's gonna.
Yeah. That I was thinking about that too.
That's gonna put a lot of precipice on what I'm doing for this.
Let me go double check just to make sure.
Just doing it on my computer. Come on now.
MLB app doesn't want to work.
I don't like the MLB app now. So the next game's Tuesday. So they face Blake Snell, who has a 10 ERA, so he'll probably no hit us. Logan Webb for game 2 on Wednesday, and Jordan Hicks for game 3. So I would say we probably get 1 out of 2 there. Would make the most sense.
Yep.
And then it's to be determined the rest of the way. I might agree with you on 3-on-3 or 3-on-3 here. Assuming we avoid Zach Gallen for Arizona, we could even take 4-2. But the last time we predicted 4-2, a player got suspended. So I'm going to go 3-3.
Yeah, 3-3 is a safe call. The Diamondbacks are one of those teams that can wake up good or wake up trash. We can too. It just depends how we play and how they play. I mean, obviously, but
exactly
in a deeper way.
And it's Varsho's first time back in Arizona, so maybe that wakes him up a bit. Uriel and Moreno get to face their former clubs, although Moreno's not very good. So pipe down crowd of we've messed up. Blue Jay of the week. Who are you going with? Obviously,
I always go first. I want you to go first.
Okay. Before we do that, obviously, shout out to Vladdy, who won Blue Jay the last 2 weeks. Honorable mentions to George Springer and Yariel Rodriguez, who is the fucking GOAT right now. That's the next jersey.
One bad start and then like 2 really good ones.
Yeah. I don't want to go Vladdy because I feel like that's gonna be a little bit boring. For Blue Jay of the week. So I think I might go. I think I'm gonna go George Springer.
Ooh, I like that. Ride the hot wave.
I'm gonna ride the hot hand here.
I would love for it to be as simple as Vladdy, but that's not a fun answer. He hit a bloop today. He's been playing phenomenal defense. And he's playing his old team. Dalton Varsho.
You got Varsho?
Yeah, Varsho. Okay. Dark horse. He's gonna have a
great
week. Yeah.
I was going to mention that Kikuchi is the pitcher who pitches twice during this week as well.
Right. He's struggled lately.
He has. But usually, if there's ever going to be a starting pitcher, it's usually the one who pitches twice, so I figured I'd mention it to you.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of it here on this side. I don't know if you have anything else you want to add on this podcast episode. I didn't mention what episode it is, but I do have the thumbnail made with the episode number
Oh,
in the corner. So I'm going to go quickly
wow.
look at the thumbnail. Oh, and it tells me it's episode 18. So I hope you guys enjoyed episode 18. DJ, do you have anything else you'd like to add to
Um,
the 18th episode?
we're bad. Fuck Garrett Cole and go Blue Jays.
I agree. For all of you hoping that they make the playoffs, 90 wins is the marker. They're 48 wins off of that, 49 wins off of that. It's not going to happen, but they have the fourth. They had the fourth best odds going into today to win the MLB draft lottery that happens in the offseason to take Ethan Holiday. And the more they lose, the better those odds are. And I don't know about you, but if Ethan Holiday is anything like Jackson Holiday is, I'd fucking take that. Because there's your Bo Bichette replacement. So yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
We're looking for losses, which sounds stupid to say. But if you're going to not make the playoffs, you might as well get a really good draft pick. And honestly, top 3 is pretty good. So yeah.
Yeah. I have a wager before we end.
Okay, let's hear it.
Since the likelihood is so slim, I think if we make the playoffs, we get tickets and we go to a game.
Deal. 100%.
All right, let's do it.
100%. We'll probably end up in like Seattle too, which is even better.
Yeah, and get absolutely dick tossed.
Yeah. Again.
All
Yeah.
right, let's do it.
Sick. We can even stream the draft lottery when it happens because we'll be in it and it'll be important to us if we don't make the playoffs.
Yeah. That's
I feel like I
the
should
other
say
side.
when.
That should be the other side.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in to this episode of the Behind the Plate podcast in partnership with One IQ Sports. If you guys have made it all the way to the end, shout out you, and be sure to leave a like on here. Also, comment what you thought of everything. Just leave your opinions on everything we talked about. And subscribe if you guys are brand new. Also, there's an intro in this. I forgot about that at the beginning, but the intro is made. It's not
We're
good.
moving up.
But we have the intro. And next episode, I do hope to have a cutout for a background so we aren't in this black background weird thing. We actually have a Blue Jay style Roger Center-esque cutout for the podcast. And who knows? Maybe there'll even be an outro.
Okay, leave the surprises. Surprise.
So, yeah.
Bye.
See ya.